And even though permission was not granted to the Congress party carry out a massive protest, we see that the Congress, despite that, came in large numbers. And even though they said this would be a silent, peaceful protest, we saw many of the Congress netas trying to jump barricades, slogan-ed, created quite some commotion outside the ED office, booing the BJP, booing the ED officials, and enough and more slogan-adding for the police to come by and detain them soon after. Now, you have a visual that the BJP has put out on their Twitter handle that seems to be quite telling. At this point, Srinivas, in that video, the police is trying to stop him from joining the protest. They want to ensure that he is seated inside his car. They almost asking him to go back into his car, but Srinivas literally tries to push away the police officer's arm, ducks him, and takes a good run. He literally flees from the police officer. Here he wants to be joining the protest, but he wasn't allowed, and soon after he was stopped by the police, he pushes the police's arm, ducks the police and runs away. Sambit Patra joining us on the fourth line for that. Mr. Patra, here is Srinivas, a video that you put out with the BJP mocking the Congress, saying that they won't fear, they will not bow down, but instead they'll run away. Where did this happen? Give us an understanding on this.
No, it's not just the Congress leaders running away from law, as you are showing pictorially, but it's also the Gandhi family running away from the law. I mean, what was the need for this high-tension drama that the Congress party showcased today, not only in their headquarters, but also outside of their headquarters, while he should have presented himself in a somber way to the enforcement directorate? So it's Rahul Gandhi also literally running away from the law, trying to create high drama, trying to face-save Congress party. And just imagine, Robert Vadra, Rahul Gandhi and Satyagraha. Do these words even gel together? Robert Vadra and Satyagraha, lo and behold, after all the high-end corruptions that this family has conducted, they are misusing the name of Satyagraha. This is nothing but tactics to pressurize the election, to pressurize the enforcement directorate, to pressurize the legal agencies of the country. And this is nothing but a module to re-operate the Congress party, which is otherwise defunct, and to relaunch Rahul Gandhi from the launch pad of corruption.
Right. Mr. Patra, we saw the hardcore sloganeering right outside the ED office with the Congress party calling the BJP as Kale Angrez, calling the ED as an election department of the BJP. These are some really heavy statements that they've been making right outside the Enforcement Directorate's office, calling this political vendetta. What would be a response to that?
First and foremost, I take exception to this sloganeering by the Congress party calling Bharatiya Janata Party as Kale Angrez. I mean, this is nothing less than racism. I mean, commenting on the skin color of we Indians, saying that we are Kale Angrez, this is something that the Congress party has to learn lessons about. Remember, the Congress party during the 2019 Lok Sabha, Mr. Navjot Singh Sidhu, then one of their top leaders, had called the Bharatiya Janata Party Kale Angrez, and we saw the results in the 2019 Lok Sabha election. Yet again, we have the Congress party raising such kind of slogans that Bharatiya Janata Party is Kale Angrez. This is not done. This is something which only reeks of racism. As far as sloganeering is concerned, today, in fact, the Congress party has been reduced to where they stand today because of the misdeeds of their past, because of the corruption of the past. This blatant attempt of the Congress party to even celebrate corruption and now running away from the clutches of law shows us exactly what Congress party has reduced itself to.
This is, at this point, it's quite natural that the Congress party feels riled up and feels like that they're being targeted. But on the other hand, questions being asked about the Enforcement Directorate's intentions. This is the case back in 2012. Now, 8 years later, they're pulling up the case, trying to check on the tax assessment once again. What's the need for pulling up the details of this case almost a decade later? The intentions of the ED is being questioned. How would you look at this?
No one is questioning the intention of the ED. I'm not the spokesperson for the ED, so I will not be speaking for the ED. But the question is it not true that this is a case which is an ongoing case in the courts of this country? We have seen that be it the Patiala Court, be it the High Court, be it the Supreme Court, all the three courts have seen this case. It's through this case, a legitimate case, on the merits of this case, that both Sonia Ji and Rahul Gandhi are out on bail. So the court have visited the merits of the case, and remember, the Gandhi family had applied in the court that they should be, in fact, granted relief as far as the questioning by the Enforcement Directorate is concerned, that they should be exempted from any such interrogation. But the court said, nothing doing, you will be interrogated, and you're not above law. So when you're not above law, you have misappropriated money as prima facie case is made out against you. So why all these gimmicks and why all these theatrics? Why not present yourself and come out clean if there's nothing to hide? If you have nothing to hide, if you are not corrupt, if you are clean, please speak the truth and come out of it, rather than this kind of dramatic theatrics that we have seen today.
We see a huge commotion right now. Many of the tall Congress leaders who come from far and wide, MPs, MLAs from different states who've descended into Delhi, they've all been detained, kept at the Tughlaq Road police station, and most of them asking one question. ED, they accusing the BJP of arm twisting the ED to settle political scores. Why is there no corruption within the BJP is what Sachin Pilot questions. How come no BJP leader so far has been issued a summons? Is there no corruption at all that the ED is looking into among any of the BJP leaders? Your take on that?
See, astonishingly, this question by the Congress party as to why the ED is acting today. I mean, die if you do and die if you don't. Doom if you do, doom if you don't. I mean, supposedly when the ED does not call you, then these very people hold press conferences and say, why doesn't the ED investigate us? Why doesn't the government investigate the wrongdoings and come out clean on these issues? And once the investigations start, the same people start crying the other way around, saying that this is vendetta politics. So you cannot burn the candle both ways. You cannot demand that please investigate us and make us clean, and then when the investigation starts, you cannot cry and say that why investigating us? No one is above the law of the land. Because this is a beautiful democracy, we have a functional judiciary in Indian democracy. So it's but natural that cases in India take time. We have seen as to how Lalu Prasad Yadavji was convicted after a long trial in the Forders camp. So of course, because we are a vibrant democracy, because we are not acting under vendetta, in this country, everything proceeds through judiciary, everything proceeds through a proper trial and as laid in the constitution. The due course is being followed by the law agencies. So please come out clean, rather than all these kinds of unsavory comments, Kale, Angrej, etc., that we are hearing from the Congress party.
Right, Mr. Patra, finally here the Congress making it look more like a freedom struggle as such, because they say that we are going to protest. Not even the British, not even the current ruling regime will be able to stop us. It's a struggle, almost like a freedom struggle that they are trying to project now.
This is ridiculous. In fact, people are laughing at it. I mean, just imagine this is freedom struggle. This is nothing but Jashne corruption. This is celebrating corruption. First, you are into Corrupt Act. Then you, in fact, are held accountable. The IP and the ED questions you. You don't have proper answers. And then you say that we are fighting for freedom struggle. Is this Satyagraha? This is a sham of Satyagraha. This is a blot in the name of Satyagraha. Satyagraha is always for Satya, that is truth. Have you ever heard of a Satyagraha for corruption, to protect the corrupt? In fact, today, Mahatma Gandhi ji, the father of the nation, must be pained wherever he is to see what kind the people who have used his name, the people who have usurped the name of the Mahatma Gandhi, in fact using Satyagraha in a very wrong and a shameful way. This is nothing but a relaunch module for Rahul Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi, umpteen number of times, has tried to relaunch himself. Yet again, this so-called sham Satyagraha that we are seeing today is nothing but a relaunch module. They have failed in the past, they will fail yet again.
Mr. Patra, thank you very much for joining us with those details.